This is IsAware, powered by InterSoftAssociates. IsAware is your connection to exploring the systems and software that power businesses like yours with expert insight, experience, and advice.
Welcome back to IsAware. I'm Chris Bentliff, and I'm joined as always by Abe Unger and Goldstoff. And today we've got some guests that I'm really excited to talk about. Nick Rosenberg is the Executive Vice President at Metropolitan Commercial Bank, member FDIC, MC Bank. You're clients of InterSoftAssociates. And I think it's interesting whenever we get a chance to sort of connect our conversations to real world experiences, real world problems and benefits and solutions, because we can talk about that stuff all day, but it's really great to hear from folks who are sort of on the productive end of that. So welcome. And I guess tell us just a little bit about kind of what makes your customers unique, or the bank that you have, the offerings that you have unique for your kinds of customers.
Well, we're a commercial bank and we're headquartered in New York City. So that alone is not very unique. But what is unique about us is we partner with financial service companies. Most of them are not banks, but some of them are banks. We partner with them to provide sponsorship that they need, access to the payment networks and systems, for example, wire, ACH, debit cards, Visa, MasterCard, etc. So for generally within the USA, you have to be a bank or you have to partner with a bank to have access to these services. And these non-bank financial service companies use us, and they really run the gamut. So some of our companies, our clients are targeted at consumers. For example, there are companies that push payments to consumers from businesses like insurance companies, etc. There are other companies that make small business payments, global business payments easier. There are some crypto companies that offer exchange services or similar, and the remittance companies. There are just so many others. We also have a lot of companies involved with healthcare payments. For example, co-pays that are funded by pharmaceutical companies to help people pay for their medication. Some of it is actually veterinary medication too. And we help pharmaceutical companies who are doing medical trials disperse reimbursements for expenses and compensation, etc., to participants in these trials. So that's just like a kind of glimpse. We're very diverse as far as the customer base that we have. And we've been growing the business for the last 15 or so years. It's a big part of the bank now.
That is, for me, fascinating because you have, almost an enterprise level of consumers and customers, but then also, I imagine, kind of your retail customers. How does custom software interface with all of those challenges and dynamics and opportunities? I imagine there's all kinds of security concerns, communication concerns, and things like this. Yeah. But what specifically have you been sort of, trying to manage where off the shelf doesn't work, enterprise doesn't quite work? You really need something that is suited for your own purposes.
Well, that's a good question, and security aspects are very important too, as you mentioned. And generally, what InterSoft has been doing is helping us fill gaps between different systems that are secure systems, for example, but they don't do something or they don't do it well. So InterSoft have helped us do things better. So, for example, when it comes to reporting, and you have different systems, maybe they're off the shelf, or, they're not completely custom, but maybe they're just completely off the shelf, like a CRM system, for example, is a recent example. Or others are actually where you're talking about specialist financial systems, like core banking systems, for example, that have to talk to each other and they don't quite work, they don't plug in. So InterSoft have helped us in those examples with a CRM system. They've helped us write custom reports that wouldn't usually be applicable to a typical CRM solution. But in our case, we're trying to look at things like how long does it take us to onboard our customers? We only work with a limited number of customers every year, but each one is at least a 5-year contract, very high value, very high maintenance, and very complex. So an implementation for us, it's not like selling a car or something. It takes a year basically, or at least 3 months. It could be up to a year. And we wanted to have a look at how long does it take for these implementations to work through our pipeline? And we have various different types of risk reviews. How long does that take? We wanted to look at the opportunities that we have across different sectors. All of those things, InterSoft helped us plug a gap. And then the other example I gave, we have different disparate core banking systems because we have so many different clients and different verticals. So they use different core banking systems, and they have to integrate with our AML system. So of course, we have one AML system, and we have transaction feeds coming from different places. And then one system doesn't talk to another. We often find that each system is, they don't want to make any modifications. They want someone else to do it. So Intersoft has helped us plug the gap by mapping a file output from one system into file input in another. That's another great example they've helped us. So that's where we've really been leaning on Intersoft for these different kind of solutions. Plug the gap, I think.
What about Intersoft's skill sets or kind of value proposition is most attractive to you? Why did you choose Intersoft to help you with some of this stuff? Because also the problem doesn't just, as you point out, have a solution. It grows, and the understanding of it grows. And once you get this one solved, there's a new opportunity to sort of think about this. That requires some unique thinking. We've talked about that here on the podcast quite a bit. But what was it about this team that made you think these are the folks to help us?
Well, they basically brought creativity and ingenuity to the table for us. So when we've come to them with a solution, they've been able to wrap their hands around it quickly and understand what we're looking for. They've been able to, and what we need to do, they've been able to come up with creative solutions. How are we going to get MCB, that's us, how are we going to get the bank to where they need to be? What's the problem? What does the solution need to look like? And here's a good way to make it happen. So that's what they've done for us. They've also been very reliable and dependable. So, for example, if we're looking at something, we need to get one system to talk to another. We have implementations that are dependent on it. Maybe we have clients that they could lose a substantial amount of money if there's a 6-month delay or a 9-month delay. We can come to Intersoft. They've been able to provide us with this programming service very quickly. So they can turn things around. They're very nimble and knowledgeable, and that really helps us. At the end of the day, delay means if there's a delay, somebody's losing money. Either we're losing revenue, or our clients are losing money because they can't do something that they were dependent on.
I really appreciate the stakes to that. Hi, tell me a little bit. I love this. Sort of the first thing that Nick shared was this kind of creative and innovative thought process. And we've talked before about how really custom software is custom problem solving. What did you hear? What was your process as you started to really investigate some of these issues that Nick is saying, this is our problem and this is where we'd like to get to? Can you tell me just a little bit about strategically kind of where did your mind go in sort of how do we approach this?
Well, throughout the organization, we try and look for additional touch points where we can, where we're doing the core work, what other areas can we provide benefits? How can we enhance what's being done? In some cases with reporting that we're doing for MCB is how can we provide more information? Nick and his team had a great idea. Do we have any value added that we can provide? We try and do that. In some cases where there are other touch points, that where there would be benefit from the core development going on, we have the data. How can we help in other areas for not a heck of a lot of money? So that's kind of our process with everybody, and it certainly was over with Nick and his team at MCB.
Abe, I love that Nick is sharing that there's stakes involved here. That wasted time is real dollars and cents for important folks doing important work. What do you think that level of expectation means when it comes to you and your team's expertise and experience? This is when that stuff, I think, would really, the rubber hits the road on that. Like, you can deliver with confidence because you're not new to this idea or the situation. Even if you're doing new things, the idea of having to meet exacting demands is, day-to-day par for the course. Has that ever been a challenge for you?
But it's always a challenge, and it's an interesting challenge. It's learning about new processes, learning about things that we don't do in our day-to-day and how that can affect other areas. And then in this case, especially recently, one of integrations, it's taking something that exists somewhere else and enhancing it, making it better, and giving the users or giving Nick what he needs to provide information outside of what the system he's entering the data into will give him. So as part of that process, it's us understanding, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does this field mean? What does that process mean? How do we do this? How do we understand all of that? And then, okay, now that we understand what the data looks like, and you're telling us, oh, well, here's what we think we need. And here was like, all right, now let's go and do it. What do we need? What can we do? What can we make? How can we make your life easier and better? Where, you were able to do some of this maybe in Excel, get some data, get something that looked okay. And now we can run it in an automated process that says, here's your report, here's your history, here's your comparisons, here's how we can help.
One of the things that is real important, and Nick and his team were really receptive to that. I mean, most of our clients are to various degrees, but it's the collaborative, the collaborative thing. It's not, this is what I want, go away and do it. We'll go back. Well, let's talk about it. An example, that we had is, the original goal was to generate a report. And then we started thinking about, well, why don't we store this data? You may never need it, but why don't we store this data? And if we want to do trending, we can. So that was a simple, it didn't cost anything to do that, or doesn't cost anything to do that, but it provided a potential benefit down the future. And we'll see if it's needed. We've not done anything in that area, but at least we've, created the base to do that. And, and it's been a great collaborative adventure. And again, like I like to say, this is a case where 1-on-1, hopefully, I think has given us 3 and will continue to.
Nick, can you share a little bit about your perspective on that? Because I feel like one of the things that I really value about what InterSoft is capable of is this idea that you're not asking the client for them, give us a punch list of to-dos, and once we're done with it, good luck. They bring new discussions and new ideas. You come with a concept or a problem, and as Hai and Abe were pointing out, let's talk around it. Let's talk about the other touch points. What are the satellites that are impacting and affecting this? What is the value of that sort of creative or innovative thinking been for you in the real world? Like, has it shortened your process? Has it offloaded, mental energy that you would otherwise be having to spend? How's that worked for you?
Yeah, that has been very helpful. I know the application that Hai is referring to, and it kind of got very interesting because we also had to satisfy security needs of our internal IT department. And for example, where would this data sit, and then what kind of server would be implemented, and then would that be, what kind of technology would it be based on, etc. So InterSoft, we were able to work very well with our IT department, anticipate their needs, and kind of meet their expectations in terms of where the data would be stored, how it would be stored, what's the best way to get to market quickly and produce this report. And then ongoing, as Hai was talking about, we wanted trending analysis. So we see snapshots of reports that are generated automatically every month, but it's great to be able to show a trend. So if you're talking about, for example, a pipeline, and what does the implementation look like? Is it growing? Or is it shrinking? Are we able to onboard these new clients quicker? Or is it going the wrong way? Is it going slower? Do we need to put some more resources on it? Or do we need to take a careful look at maybe the types of programs, and they're more complex? So it was very helpful. These are another thing. These are ongoing projects. It's not like one and done. It's not like set it and forget it. It's an ongoing engagement where InterSoft have built, in this specific example, and it's the same in many others, they've built a specific process, and now it needs to be tweaked because maybe there's another party coming in, or we need a report that looks different, or other people within the bank are looking at this and they're saying, wow, this is great. If you could do this, then can you tell me about that too? Because that helps me with my business too. Something I couldn't have anticipated, but maybe another department head takes a look at that and realizes they can leverage what we've been doing as well.
Nick Rosenberg is the Executive Vice President at MC Bank, and they are at mcbankny.com. And Nick, it's been really interesting today to hear your experiences and the impact that it's made internally, but also customer facing, how that's helped you kind of abbreviate that onboarding time, because as much as that helps you, I imagine that also helps your customers. They're able to get up to speed more quickly or get to the next part of the process more quickly. And they might not have any idea what's going on behind the scenes and how InterSoft is interfacing with any of that, but they're the benefactors of it, or the beneficiaries of it. And I imagine that smooths that over. It's been really interesting to hear that perspective from you today.
Yeah, all they know is that something is working better than they expected, or there's been an improvement that they're happy to see. So
That's all any of us want when it comes to this technical stuff and this technology stuff. Don't care how it works, just make it work.
That it works. Yes, exactly, which is important.
Thanks for being with us today. Hi, thanks for being with us today. Abe, great to be with you as always. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for IsAware, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one today. IsAware is powered by InterSoft Associates, who believes the more you know about your IT, the better. Visit us at InterSoftAssociates.com and schedule your free consultation to talk about how custom software can help your business.